I gave up on this goal. It's like a semi-success, like a half tick. As you can see, it's still not happened. We are in a fantastic spot with it now. Dead. Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be reviewing the specific plant goals I set out for myself at the beginning of 2024, taking a look at where those plants are now and assessing whether or not I actually completed these goals. So I made the original video in January, and then in June, July time, I did a 6-month review where I was able to show you how I was getting on so far. And now we are here pretty much 12 months later. We're gonna call it 12 months for the sake of this video, and I get to show you where we're at. But before I get into it, I wanna say if you're new here and you don't know me already, hi, my name is Emma and I make houseplanting content all over the internet. So if you want to follow along with my houseplanting journey and maybe learn something along the way, stick around, watch some more of my videos, and subscribe to my channel. If you are not new here, welcome back. I really appreciate you returning. Let's do this. So the first goal that I had was to get better at begonias. This was pretty much one of the only begonias I had at the beginning of 2024. This is my begonia white ice, and it was doing fine early on. It was okay, and about 6 months ago it was doing great. I feel like I had really gotten a handle on it by then, but now I have taken so many cuttings from this thing. It has grown so well. I feel like I've really not necessarily mastered begonias, because I don't think you could become a master of anything in a year, but I feel like I've really gotten a proper handle on how to take care of begonias, especially cane begonias. Those are my absolute favorites. I have so many different types of them. And 6 months ago, I was like, ooh, maybe I should try more on Rex begonias and like rhizomaceous begonias, and I have given those more of a go in this time. I am still working on them though. I'm not at the point I am with cane begonias with those other types quite yet. I feel like I will get there. I will get there, but it is taking a little bit more time. I just don't know if I have the exact right environment for them. I feel like they just need really high humidity, and that is sometimes hard to come by unless I'm putting them into terrarium settings. The ones I have growing in more terrarium settings, like I've got some in a prop box, I have my one in my planted window. Those are doing phenomenally and really growing well. But the ones I kind of have out in my flat, they're not as prolific growers as the cane begonias are, or the Rex ones in like very high humidity settings. So I am still working on it, but I feel like I can like tick off this goal because I've accomplished what I set out to do at the beginning of the year, and I feel like I've got a very good handle on my cane begonias especially. Y'all have been seeing a lot of this one lately. I feel like I've talked about it quite frequently, but this is my philodendron majestic. It was the next goal I had for this year, to size this one up, and I think I'm there. So a year ago it was probably about the same size height-wise, but it was mostly quite small leaves. It wasn't huge. It wasn't tiny, but it wasn't huge either. And then 6 months ago, I had grown it quite a lot more. I think the leaves were starting to get around this size. So definitely bigger, but not huge. And then now I have recently chopped and extended this one even further because it had reached the top of its pole. It was giving me really nice, big, beautiful leaves. For me, this is a very big, majestic leaf, but we are getting there. It does take time with growing out philodendrons for me, and I've been doing what I think is a really good job keeping this moss pole nice and moist and fertilized, and hopefully getting it growing well. You can see some rootage in the back of the pole, so like it's definitely growing in there. It's definitely attached in multiple places along this stem. So it's in a really good place, and I'm hoping that by the time it reaches the top of this extension, which is quite large, I have quite a lot of room to go with this one. By the time it reaches the top of that, we can have like a lot more of these big, beautiful leaves, if not bigger. That would be freaking awesome if I could get it to grow even bigger. So I think 2025 is going to be great for this one. I am continually going to be watering the moss pole, keeping it hydrated, and just keeping a good eye on it, making sure it's getting all the good conditions that it needs. So yeah, while I didn't size it up as much as I might have hoped, I feel like I can also take this one off the list because I have sized it up quite a lot to the point where I've needed to like chop and extend. This next one, I'm not entirely sure how I've done. My peperomia sarcophylla, which is one I was trying to get to grow really, really well because I hadn't really gotten very many good leaves off of it. In the first 6 months, it grew this amazing, big, beautiful leaf here, and it had started pushing out this second one. But I swear, this leaf has not changed in the last 6 months, and it hasn't grown any more foliage. It has grown flowers, which, I mean, I don't really need. Like, I'm not trying to pollinate my peperomias, so I don't really need them, and I end up cutting them off. But maybe it's just been putting too much energy into that. Which, like, I'm very proud of it growing this leaf. This leaf, it's okay. It's all right. Maybe I just need to change something up, given I have never changed the soil of this one. This is the original soil it was in when I got it, so maybe a bit of a change up would be good for it, and I could hopefully get it to have a little bit more substance. I mean, it's been a year. It's been over a year since it's been repotted because I've had it in this entire time, so I guess it's probably time, and I can have a look at the roots and see if anything funky is going on there, and that could be the root cause of the issue. Sorry for the pun. It's like a semi-success, like a half tick on this one. I did well, but not as well as I was necessarily hoping that I would. This next goal, I don't even have a plant to show you for it because of how hard I failed. Kind of. I gave up on this goal. It was to grow my monstera deliciosa bigger, get it to fenestrate more, just get it to size up. It just did not happen. Even 6 months ago, it hadn't really done much. It's gotten taller, but that's just because it's put out loads of kind of small, crappy leaves. It was just continuing to grow leggy and awkward, and I just decided that I didn't need that faff anymore. I was over my monstera deliciosa. I think for me at this point, if I want to have a big monstera deliciosa, I think I'm just gonna need to buy like a big, large form, mature one, which does suck a little bit because they are quite expensive, but it's definitely doable, and maybe not in this home because we don't really have the space for a large form monstera. Maybe in the next home if I ever decide to move out of here, but we just don't have the space for it now, and it just didn't work out. So this is definitely did not achieve this goal. In fact, actually failed, and failed so bad that I decided to give up and give my plant away to someone else. My plant didn't die. That's good. My plant didn't die. I did, though, give it to someone else because it wasn't bringing me joy, and it was actually bringing me stress because I wasn't able to get it to grow how I wanted to. And I feel like even just accepting that and giving it away is very good. It's part of my more general planty goals that I'll talk about in a video coming up. I am proud of myself for realizing that it just wasn't serving me anymore and releasing it to somebody else who could get more joy out of it. And apparently it's growing great for them, so good. At least it's growing great for somebody because it wasn't growing great for me. Something really weird that was happening in 2023 is that I suddenly lost the ability to grow alocasia corms, kind of out of the blue. I was finding that all of them were rotting. So my goal for 2024 was to try and regain that skill, get my alocasia corms growing again, being able to expand my collection again, and thank goodness I was somehow able to make this happen. I genuinely am still not sure what I was doing wrong in 2023. Something was just off. Maybe it's how my general sphagnum moss propagation is off right now, my corm propagation was off in 2023. It's back in 2024, and around the 6-month mark, I had loads and loads of alocasia propping, and now I got rid of all of those. Those all grew leaves, and I passed them on because I don't need any more alocasia polys because I've got my big, beautiful one. But now I just have several different packs of alocasia corms scattered throughout the flat, and genuinely, they are all currently unknowns. Whenever I get a corm, I just stick them in one of these boxes and whatever happens with them happens. So it is kind of like a bit of like a mystery box or a surprise whenever one grows out and I get the first couple of leaves, and then I get to like see what it actually is. It's a bit of a fun process and I can kind of enjoy that. But I have 2 in here, 2 of the 3, because I've got another one up here, that are in this box have sprouted, which is very, very good. I should probably pop them into somewhere that has a little bit more room because it had a lid on it before. So it's probably time to pot these ones up more fully, and we can get them growing and see what they actually are. So this is another one ticked off the list. I accomplished this goal with alocasia corms. I'm still unaware of what I was doing wrong. I really don't know, but we're working well with them again. So happy with that. Speaking of alocasias, the next goal was to revive my variegated alocasia frydek. And the one I had that I wanted to revive in January, dead. By June, I had another one that I was growing that I was trying to revive that one as well. Dead as well. But, I have had some very, very, very lovely friends and patrons give me some slightly more established variegated alocasia frydek plants, not just corms, which I think is kind of important for me in these ones. Give me some established plants, and I have joined them all together in this beautiful situation. I mean, look at that leaf. It is just absolutely stunning. I've actually just had a ghost leaf come in here, which kind of sus because I don't really want that to happen. And it's really weird because the previous leaf on it was pretty much all green, and now I've got a pretty much all white one. So maybe, oh my god, that would make for such a cool plant if it was alternating back and forth, like fully green and then fully white. That'll be really, really cool. We will see what happens with that, but I feel like I'm having so much more success with the variegated frydek now that I have more mature plants. It's possible that the corms and baby plants that I was getting before just weren't the right ones for me. The one I got from Claire that I showed in my 6-month review video, I very much appreciated, but it was growing all white leaves, and unfortunately I couldn't get it out of that phase. I tried giving it less light, I tried giving it more humidity, and I think I put it in my pond box and it just fully melted. And so it just wasn't the right plant for me. Since then, like I said, I've been very kindly given from friends and followers some plants, which, I mean, makes me feel really special because it shows that y'all like want to see me succeed. So I very much thank those of you who have given me these ones, and I'm very happy to have this and looking forward to seeing how I can continue it growing. Hopefully I can get it to grow even bigger and more beautiful in 2025. But I don't think it's going to be on my goal list again because I don't think I can actually tick this goal off because I didn't revive any of the frydeks that I had that weren't doing well. I just got new ones. So while I can't take it off, I feel like it doesn't need to be a goal of mine anymore because I have this plant which isn't being as weird and not growing like my other ones were. So I'm very, very happy to have just kind of sidestepped this goal by receiving better plants. The next goal I had was to get my Cebu blue pothos to fenestrate. As you can see, it's still not happened, though I have been able to massively size up my plant this year. In the beginning of the year, it had basically gotten to the top of a moss pole, so I chopped and extended it, and it has since then further sized up. and now reached the top of this pole. It has grown roots into the back like crazy. It is a very, very, very healthy plant. I just think it needs to get even bigger before it does fenestrate. So it's got some like damage holes in there on a couple of these leaves, and that one, which I can just pretend are fenestrations, even though I know that they're not. So it's not quite there yet, and I know now that it's exceeded this moss pole that I need to extend it further, but it's already such a big plant, and I just don't think I have the space for another moss pole taller than this. It is quite big, and I mean, I think I'm just gonna have to wait a little bit longer and chop and extend this one. I feel like that's kind of my only option. I might chop and prop this one a couple times and put those cuttings back in the bottom, and hopefully those grow up as well, because right now in the top half of it I only actually have 2 vines, which I mean, it's very, very full for just having 2 vines, which is great, but I would like it to have a couple more going forward, just so I can have a little bit more peace of mind with the plant, that if one of them goes a bit south, I'll have several more to kind of be an insurance policy on it. So while we've not fenestrated, we are growing, we are getting towards this goal, and I think this is one of those goals that's gonna stay on my list of goals until I get it to happen, because I want a fenestrated cebu blue so badly, and I've had cuttings that I've gotten from other people that have fenestrated, like from the start. They've been like small ones though, and I want to fenestrate this one. This was my first original plant. This was the first plant I ever put on a moss pole. I want to fenestrate this one. So while I can have fenestrated ones elsewhere, it doesn't really count in my mind, because this is the one that I want to fenestrate. So we'll see. This is where we are at the end of 2024, and who knows, maybe by the end of next year I'll have made it happen or not. It's been a very slow process. Another one of my more long-term goals, which again I have yet to accomplish, is to get my Hoya Crimson Princess to flower. This was my first ever Hoya. It is one that I absolutely freaking love, and I grew it from cuttings. So the fact that I've gotten it to grow this much is huge for me. You can see the difference in growth between the beginning of the year, 6 months ago, and then now it has significantly grown, which is great. But I don't think it is quite at the point where it's going to flower. I haven't yet seen a peduncle on this one. I don't think I will for a while yet, but I'm okay with that. It's taking its time. I know this is one that doesn't necessarily flower easily, and if I had just bought a big mature plant of it originally, it probably would have flowered by now, but that wasn't the point with this one. I have sentimental value for this plant specifically, and I want to get, again, this one specifically to flower. So hopefully we can make that happen. I have recently joined in the Crimson Queen in with the Crimson Princess, so I now have double the chance of success, but that was only a cutting as well, so it's probably not going to flower for a minute yet. And again, this is probably one of my more longer term goals, and will probably stay on my goals list until I get it to happen. The other Hoya that I had on my list was my Hoya linearis here, and my goal was to get her filled out a whole bunch more. I think I've definitely chunked her out quite a bit. There is a lot more in here than there was at the beginning of this year. 6 months ago, I had let it kind of trail longer, but since then I've chopped and propped to kind of double the amount of vines in here, and I am very glad that I did. I think it is doing quite well. It's still growing for me well, so that's great. We're in a good place with this one. I would still love a really big bushy linearis, and I think we are definitely on our way there. Again, this is one that I grew from propagations, and so it's taken a little bit of time. Hoyas can be quite slow, especially at the beginning, like if you're growing them from small cuttings. So as long as I continue to be patient with this one and continue chopping and propping, because it is quite easy to chop and prop this one. I tend to take the cuttings and put them in water first to like start getting roots, and then I put them into the soil and try and keep this one fairly watered for a little while so it can continue to grow roots in there. In general, I feel like I am fairly proud of this one, but it might not be as much growth as I thought I wanted out of it, so maybe I'll give it a half tick of like goal success. And then the final goal I had was to size up my alocasia jacklyn. At the beginning of this year, it was itty bitty, and I was keeping it in my pond box. And then 6 months ago, I had just moved it into my Millsbow, so I couldn't necessarily say it had grown that much in that time, but after 6 months in the cabinet, we are in a fantastic spot with it now. It has grown incredibly in that time. I'm getting some really big, beautiful jacklyn leaves. I've even got a new leaf coming in on there. I am so pleased with this one. I think it is so cool. It's grown phenomenally. I've even got a couple of roots coming out the bottom there, and I've just really loved watching this one succeed. I've had to like upsize it in pot since I've put it in the cabinet because obviously it got quite tall. And maybe, I actually wouldn't say this is leggy. I feel like jacklyns in general tend to be quite tall plants. And because it's getting light from above, it is in general mostly facing up as opposed to out, which I am totally okay with. I'm kind of glad this one is facing up because otherwise, if this was all sprawly, it would take up so much more space. But I am so pleased with this one. I'm loving, enjoying the cool texture on these leaves and the veination and the coloring. It is so much fun, and I'm really proud of where I've gotten this one this year. And again, another tick off my goals. I feel like we're in a really good place, and I'm so excited to see where it is this time next year as well. If it is even bigger than this, that'd be so freaking exciting. If it gets too much taller, I am probably gonna have to take it out of the Millsbow. So we'll see. We'll see probably by this time next year. It'll have to be in a new environment, and it'll probably just be out in my home, and who knows whether or not it'll like that, and I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. But for now, I'm really pleased with this one, and I'm feeling really proud of the success I've had with it. So yeah, that's where I am with my houseplant goals. I feel like in general, majority of the goals I have done really well on, and I've at least partially completed my goals with them. But a lot of them I've fully completed that goal and really succeeded in it, and it does feel good to have succeeded. Of course, there are still some that I'm working on or working towards, and some that, who knows, maybe next year I'll give up on. But for now, I'm really pleased with all of these plants, and just in general, my houseplant successes this year have been quite good. So feeling very proud of myself, especially after looking at these plants. And even though I sometimes struggle in things, that's okay. It happens to the best of us, and we can't be perfect in everything. So I'm very glad I set myself these goals and that I was able to push myself towards them this year. I'd be interested to hear how you are doing on the plant goals you set yourself up at the beginning of 2024. Let me know if you're succeeding in them, or if you've given up on them entirely. That is also totally fine. I mean, we're not perfect here. Y'all see that. I talk about that all the time. But if you have succeeded in them, I do want to know. I think that's so exciting. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up down below and leave a comment on other houseplanty things you'd like me to talk about in the future. If I touched on anything in this that you want to know more on, let me know, and I can make that happen for you, and subscribe for more. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next one. Don't forget to keep growing. Bye!